So AnimationPlus is an all-in-one toolkit for animation. It has a bunch of quality of life improvements and a bunch of features which you normally can't do. The most obvious being that in the dope sheet, you can finally change animations, but I will show you this by importing some Mixamo animations first. So here we have a bunch of animations and a bunch of meshes for the armatures. So you can select your animation like so, just clicking on these. You can rename them. You can also limit the frame range so it updates with each action. So if you enable this time glass and you switch between animations, the actual timeline will update with your animation. So if we go into the keyframes, we can see that this is a very long animation. This is very short, and this is a bit shorter as well. You can also enable motion paths from here. So if you select the bunch of bones and you enable the motion paths, we'll calculate them. You can also disable them with the same method. You can set the frame rate, the current frame, and the range from here as well. You can also set the keying set, which is not available in all the modes. You can also make a library asset. So if you align your view and click the library button, it will appear here with the correct pose you're looking at, like so. You can also set the fake user toggle from here, which is important since if you don't have these toggled, Blender might accidentally discard these actions, which can be very destructive. You can also clear the actions from here like you normally could, but additionally you can also remove them. If you're missing something here that it's not showing up, you just have to refresh from this button. And you can of course duplicate your actions and add an empty one, which is something you normally couldn't do. Now in Blender 5 and 4.5, we have action slots. So you can add these as well. So you can have multiple actions in an action, which is kind of strange, but it's the new way of doing things now. You can also set the looping, which is the cycles modifier. So if your action is a bit longer, it will actually loop, even though there are no keyframes here. Normally it would just look like this. You can also do snapping. So if your action has a weird offset, like so, we can snap it to the 0 mark. And this is good way to clean up a lot of actions. Some people have it start at 1, but in this case, it always starts at 0. You can also clamp the range so it fills all the keyframes. Some tools might export only the keyframed actions, so this ensures you actually get the full length. You can also do a visual copy of the pose, which is way stronger than a normal copy by Ctrl+C. Normally, you couldn't copy stuff like bone constraints, but in this case, you can. I'll show you how. So normally, if you try to copy this pose, you'll get this issue. It will not follow the actual object modifier, and that's because object modifiers are not supported by Blender's native copy-paste. But if you go to the panel here, you should have the copy visual pose. And if we paste this, we'll actually get the right pose here, even with the object modifiers applied. The action slots will also warn you if you have object transforms. You shouldn't really have object transforms on your actions if they're mainly for bones. That might cause some miscommunication. So you can clean them up with this. If you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. It's a thing you probably don't need to do yet. Now, normally if you try to apply scales to your armature, because some exporters do not support this scaling, you could do Ctrl+S, but this will break the actual animation as well. So instead, you can use the apply scale operator here, and you can choose all of the animations you want to fix, and this will do the scaling and the fix at the same time. So now if we look at our animation, let's clear our transforms here. There we go. We can see that the scale is 1 and the animations are not broken. So this is for that situation. You can also apply the rotation, and this doesn't really break animation, so you can do this with the Blender, Ctrl+A. You might also want to apply the transforms on your objects. Another powerful tool is the replace selected. This allows you to simply combine actions together by using your bone selection. So let's say we want this texting animation and the walk animation in the same thing. So we select the action we want to replace, and we choose the bones we want to replace, like so. Now if we click the replace selected pose bones, it will give us a selection for the action we want to copy the bones from. So in this case we want the phone, and we want to use scaling, just to show what scaling does first. Now we will get the phone animation scaled to the walk cycle. And since the phone animation has 60,000 keyframes, it's gonna go really fast. So in this case, you probably don't want to do that. So instead we'll use the truncate. So let's select the bones again. And this will just cut the animation. As long as we have frames on the original action, it will cut to that length, basically. So it looks like, and we can see that we accidentally replaced the root bone here. So let's go back, deselect the root bone, and try again. And in this situation, we get the hand movement and the upper body movement of our phone animation, and the walking animation from the original walk. Let's try this with the flinch or the dodge. So we can see that it replaced it, but we lost a lot of power in the animation. And that's because this action is driven by the root bone. So we have to manually add in the force. So we can do this by, not by rotating this one, because this is actually the pose, but we can do it on the next bone. So let's just make the action a bit more emphasized, like so. And now let's select these bones we just changed, and we'll do delta offset. Now this is like a smart blended copy paste. So it will paste this pose in a way that it blends nicely with all the keyframes. Normally you could only replace one keyframe, but if we do this, we'll get a smooth. That's a bit too harsh though. Let's try a bit more easing. And let's try that again. So that's a lot better. So let's say we want to change the action in a way that the end frame will be here instead of here. So you would move or reset the transforms with Alt-J to do this. And now if we do replace or delta offset all frames, it will actually end at this frame instead. Another thing in the rig diagnostics is that if it detects certain naming schemes, it can offer to fix them for you. So in this case, it will rename all of these Mixamo naming schemes to the proper Blender ones. And why would we want to do that? Well, Blender's copy-paste has a nice feature called flip on x-axis. And this will basically copy this pose onto the other arm or the other side, whatever it is. And it only works with this naming scheme. So if we convert this, and then we do something like this, Control-C and Control-Shift-V, we'll get the pose on both sides. And this is very important for anyone doing animation in Blender. Having symmetry like this is a lifesaver. And that's pretty much it for now. I'll add more videos when I add more features, but this is like the main tutorial. If you have any questions, problems, or just suggestions, you can join the Discord and ping me there.